the game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Floris Versteeg. I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I played in Cal State Fullerton for the year 2013-14.
Perfect. Flo, it is amazing to have you here today.
For sure.
Really excited to have you. Definitely one of the guys I loved spending time with and coaching and seeing.
Same, man. I'm happy to be here, happy to help, happy to talk to you. Great to see you again.
Talk hoops. Right, so as I said before, this is, talking about your journey and your processes and kind of how you got over to the States and why you left, all right? So, here we go. How and why did you choose Cal State?
It was tough. I remember being, it was a hard time. Well, it wasn't a hard time. It was just a tough decision because, it was all like ever since I was 14, it was my dream to go to America, and especially college. I grew up watching it as well, and it was just amazing, the whole atmosphere, and also the opportunity to get an education as well. And then went to Canaries Basketball Academy, learned so much about life, experienced so much, made friends, and then you just get recruited by a bunch of schools, and it's pretty tough because you're an 18-year-old kid, and back then you think like, oh, I'm 18, I'm grown up. Well, you're not, and and yeah, you're not. And it's so hard because everyone is telling you these amazing stories, and they're telling you exactly what you want to hear, and they're talking to your parents, and it's pretty tough, and it's hard to choose, and everyone has an opinion, and your friends tell different, and then some places the weather is amazing, other places the weather is bad, and then someone else says, you don't want to be there, and it's just hard. And I remember talking to Charlotte Clove, who was like my mentor at the time, I still talk to, and he said like, Flo, why do you want to go to the States? And I was like, well, I'm going there for basketball. And then he was like, just see where you feel the best, that you're gonna accomplish the most on the court. And I was like, yeah, he's right, and also Coach Diedrich Taylor, who still is the head coach at Cal State Fullerton, he was just amazing. Like he gave me like the best, just overall vibe. He was the nicest. I just really got along with him, and I was like, I want to go somewhere where I feel like I'm wanted. I feel like I can trust the people that are there, and because the basketball was just the best, and that's why I ended up going to Cal State.
Okay, very nice. What type of scholarship did you get, and did your grades, did your academic scores play a factor in it?
I got a full ride, which was great. I think, I'm not sure how much my academic records played a role. I scored really well on my IGCSEs, I think. Yeah, I scored really well, and I had no trouble whatsoever with the SAT as well. We were pretty prepared for it, and I think it only helped me. I don't think anywhere I got in trouble or they were like, hey, your academic records needed to be better.
Did you, talking to a couple other players and being around, so sometimes what schools have, I guess the bigger school, the bigger the budget, and obviously the opposite, they give you the athletic budget is so much, and they can offer you so much in your scholarship, and your academic, there's an academic part or academic scholarship, and sometimes they combine your tuition fee. Do you think, or do you know if that was done for you, or it was just all from the athletic?
I do remember it was combined. I remember those forms. I think I had to sign, and I could also pick and choose what I was going to do with meal plans and apartments and stuff. And I think there it was all written down what it was, and there was a difference, but it was just combined.
What questions should you ask of the coach or the program? What questions when you're being recruited should you ask?
That's a great question. I think a question that I didn't ask that I think maybe should have answered is more about your teammates and stuff. It's very like ask like, hey, what are my teammates like? Like, what is the vibe within the team? How is life on campus? How is like the interactions with the community? And everything kind of off the court, because on the court they always have the answers, and like they can say like basketball's this and workouts are going to be like this, your house is going to be this, and of course, I mean most times it is because we're very well taken care of. But I think I should have asked more questions about what it was off the court.
Okay. Yeah, I doubt the younger generation of the guys being recruited right now are thinking off court. They're just like, minutes, shoes.
Yeah. Understandably.
What can I do? How often can I get in the gym? Weight trainers, stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess, just got to ask the questions. What was the league play like in Cal State Fullerton? And what
it was good.
I forgot to ask you, what conference?
Yeah, the conference is the Big West.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pretty good. There was a pretty big difference between the best teams and the worst. When I was there, the best team was, I think it was UC Irvine or Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And there was a pretty big difference between that. But I think what's pretty fun to see in America is that overall the conferences, they're very, like one conference, like a play style would be very, like, yeah, one conference would have its own play style. I think it was funny to see because then we would play like non-conference games and the teams would play like a different kind of basketball. Within our conference, it almost looked like the same team every single time, just one was a little better. But it was good. There was a big difference and we were kind of in the middle, but it was always fun.
Okay. Dealing with role changes, I think if I'm not mistaken, I met you and Gito before CBA. Did you come to England and do a tournament?
No, I came to CBA like in May before I actually went there. Yeah.
Okay.
Or wait, I did do like a tournament with the national team. I think it was some tournament in London.
Yeah. So I saw you and Gito there, believe it or not. So I was
probably.
And that was when Gito had like long shaggy hair.
Yeah.
And then when you guys walked in, I was like, I've seen those guys before.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, all right, so being pretty well known back home and having your own little reputation, what's it like adjusting, or what was it like adjusting to, coming in, being a freshman and kind of being bottom of the, the eco cycle, if you will?
Good question. I think that's exactly what it is. It is. It's kind of like going from like primary and middle school to high school. You know what I mean? It's like you were like the coolest, and then you get there and you're like at the bottom. It depends. Like I guess it depends per person. But for me, it wasn't that tough because I've moved around already. Like when we went to Spain and stuff. It's just, you just have to prove yourself. Especially, I think, coming from Europe, you're that European kid a lot of times that comes in, and Americans think they're always better, of course. Obviously the NBA is better, and I think as a European, you do have like a chip in your shoulder. You have to prove something, and you just have to work really hard, like harder than you think. Like you're there, but you just got to go even harder. Like you got to prove it on the court, and Americans are crazy about basketball, and they'll just play it 24/7, and you just got to do the same.
Yeah, it's a different type of animal.
Yeah.
The mentality is different. Okay, cool. So can you talk to us about your process leaving Cal State? Like why did you leave?
Yeah, I think in the end, and it's kind of what I've kind of been saying already, I should have known more about the situation off the court. Like basketball-wise, the coaches were great. My teammates were great basketball players. I had fun playing. We played against UNLV on like the 28th of December, like a fight night, and it was packed. And went to Hawaii, and like basketball-wise, everything was amazing. I think I should have just looked more into what the culture in the university was off the court. what the academics were, the community around there, how much stuff is there to do. And I think, like, because I mean, of course you go there for basketball, but think about it, you're going to be more time not playing basketball than you will be playing basketball. And how important basketball also is, if you just don't feel like you're at the right place outside of that, like how fun it can be on the court, it's only like 2 to 3, 4 hours a day. And I think for me at one point that was tough. What also was very important for me is my education. Like I always took pride in like having a good education and getting like great degrees. And when I got there, honestly, like high school in Holland when I was 15 was tougher than my freshman year there. And of course it depends per school. But for me, it just felt like my degree wouldn't like mean anything to me, and I was like, I should have maybe picked somewhere where my education, I feel like I would have to work for it, and it would mean something. And I think that's what was it for me most, like off the court. It was just also it was a university. It was known as a commuter school, so everyone went there and drove there, which was campus life was just like, I mean, it existed, but not like how you, like people tell you how America is, you know. And I think that was kind of, that also kind of sucked, because you expect to get there and there's going to be like tons of shit happening, and it wasn't that much. So yeah, it was the things off the court, and I do want to stay in the States. And then I looked at transferring, but I got options to go like to pretty low D1s or D2s, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go back home and play professionally.
That is crazy. So I mean, that was gonna be my next question in terms of why didn't you just transfer the program? But I mean, just now I don't know how to take that in terms of what you was doing at 15 at high school was harder than what you was doing.
I mean, it was just, I don't know, it was easy. It was like, I mean, I'm a smart kid, but I'm not the brightest, and it just wasn't that hard. Maybe it's just the difference between Holland and the States, but it was, to me, it was pretty easy. And then, it was just stuff I've done before. Like, it was hard in the past, but I've done it before, and I was like, how have I done this even in Spain, like IGCSE, and then I get there and it's like the hardest math, and I'm like, what? And it's, I don't know, I think that was a small part, but it was important to me. And it also, I wanted to transfer, but I got a concussion in like the end of January. I was out for 6 weeks, and it was right where conference play started, and I never really got in the rotation again. And then my stats weren't good enough. Probably if they were good enough, I could have gone to a better D1 school, but it was kind of bad luck.
So would you not have, I say would you not have, because it's already gone, but did it ever come to your mind of going to a lower D1 or a D, like, why didn't you just, the ambition was to get to the States, obviously something wasn't right for you to stay at Cal State, then, why give up on the dream of being in the States when you could just transfer to a different program?
That's a good question. I think also because my ambitions were quite high, and I was like, I'm not sure if I can make true on those ambitions and goals I had going to a lower D1. You had
the same ambition? You was trying to get drafted first round like me?
I just wanted to do like as high as I could. Like I was just gonna see where I was gonna end up. And also kind of, I think that year, because it was tough, I was like, I'm not sure if America's the place for me. Okay. And the thing is, because I remember when I was in my last year in CBA, at one point, Rob, the head of CBA, he contacted me about, what's the school? The Columbia, the Ivy League school in New York. Wanted to see if he had any players, and it was me, because you need an academic scholarship to go there. And I remember 18-year-old Flo thinking, come on, then I need to study, and then I need to do my SAT, but like the hard one, and then to do this ACT. And I was like, coach, it's fine. Like, and like, I don't regret it whatsoever, because I don't regret anything. But that was one of those things, like, if I just knew a little better, or I had someone that was going to tell me, because no one really put it in perspective back at the time. That was something that was like, well, maybe it could have been.
Okay. That's funny. Okay, so what was the discord or disconnect, or was there any, with your family and your decision? So obviously your parents, paid for you to go to CBA, spent some money. The flights over to America isn't cheap, and kind of like, how was there like a bad outcome family wise or friend wise?
Friends, definitely not. They understood it. I think it was my dad that kind of, like, at the beginning it was hard for him, because I think he also really wanted me to get up high, and he knew what I invested in it, like, a lot of time, and so did they. And he thought it was like, just give it a chance, just try. My mom understood me. My mom was like, I support you. I mean, my mom, she's a sweetheart, and she was like, I'll support you if this is what you want to decide it. But no one, I think once my dad got over that little moment, it was all fine, and I think now everyone is pretty happy with the decision.
So, okay, kind of piggyback off that. What about yourself? I know you say you don't regret anything, but do you think to yourself, like, man, I've spent this time, I've been in like the CBA house or whatever, and I've committed all this time and doing to get into this point. Man, I wish I could have stuck it out, or as I said, not regretting it, but you're like kind of putting it into concept of, oh man, I could have done it if I really wanted to.
Yeah. Not necessarily staying in Fullerton, but just maybe like taking my time and taking a better decision. I think that is something that, like, I wish when I was younger I maybe would have thought about it better, or I don't know, just knew more about it, and I wasn't so in a hurry. But no, I don't regret it, because I think in the end there are so many ways to get to the highest level, and going back to Holland was a great option, and I played with amazing players that they played at great colleges, and were amazing college players, and then played at the same division as me, and I was like, wow, I just took a little shortcut. So yeah, and so there's so many different ways to get there. So I didn't think, like, it wasn't the end of my ambition or dream. It was just, hey, I'm going to do it a different way.
Okay. How would you describe making that decision? Obviously, if you're not feeling happy and things aren't going as you thought, classes are easy, what's it like to kind of make that decision? So there's going to be other individuals that get into that position where they're like, hey, I want to get to the States, I want to play, and then they get there and it's not what they thought it is. It's not what they perceived it to be. To now go against the grain and go, actually, I changed my mind. Like, when you talk to the coach, when you talk to your parent, like, how difficult is that moment?
Yeah, I was tough because it was coming, it kind of creeps in there. It's not like one day you're like, oh, hey, I want to leave, it just, yeah, it just creeps in there, and it's like, because what you're saying, it's hard because you put your mind to something and you have an ambition and you know how much you work for it, because you got to work your butt off to even have that chance, and to get there and achieve it, you got to work so hard. And I think that was hard. It was like, I think the hardest thing is like to tell yourself, like, you're not giving up, It's not like you're giving up on your dream. You are just taking a different approach. And I think that was hard because at one point I was like, am I a failure? And then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to do it my way. Like, if I don't fit in here, I don't fit in. And, that's fine. And It was tough, yeah. Well, what worked for me was just talking to the people that I care, the people that I love, and see what they think. Also had a great conversation with the coach. I mean, Dietrich absolutely helped me, and he was very, he was very considerate, and he understood it, and that was great. So it's tough. It will be tough. I think for everyone it's tough taking that decision. But I think, yeah, just don't see it as a negative thing. I mean, just one door closes, another one opens.
And who was the first to know? Who did you speak to? You said your mum's very supportive, but was it like, hey mum, this is what I'm thinking, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, or kind of did you do it kind of on your own and then just like, all right, today's the day, I'm gonna tell coach, I'm gonna tell my parents?
Yeah, no, I did. I said it to my parents before. They knew it before my coach did. And then I said it to one of my teammates who I was like closest with, then to another one, and then I ended up going to my coach, I think, probably a couple days after. But my parents knew already. It was just like finding the courage to tell your coach, because they invest in you as always. I mean, one way or another, you're letting other people down. That's the truth. And it sucks to let other people down, obviously. But most people will understand it, and well, hopefully, and if you just explain it right and say how you feel and stand behind it. I mean, it's if you take a decision, just go with it and look at the positive side, and that's what I did, and worked out.
Was that at any point, did you feel like when you got back home, did you think like, actually I could have stuck it out, or did you kind of flip flop when you got back home? No, I didn't really, because, no, I didn't. I think that was mostly to thank for the situation I was put in, because when I first took that decision to go back to the Netherlands, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I was like, I had like the option. I was like, maybe I'm gonna play professional in Amsterdam, or maybe I'm just gonna study. Like I was looking at all my options, and then Leiden, it was back then, still is like top 2, top 3 professional team here in the Netherlands. They offered me a contract, and I just jumped on it, and I was so welcomed there and had great teammates. So I was like, hey, I'm in a better situation. Like the team is better, the people I'm playing against are better. I'm playing against grown men. I'm playing Europe Cup, traveling Europe, playing against amazing players. So I was like, actually got in a better situation, and I'm back home, which was great. So I never really thought about that. Okay. Last few, your time in college, and you talk about your decision making. What would you say was the most enjoyable bit about being in college?
That's a good one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed my year in college. It was fun. I got to meet so many people and see so many things and experience like a whole nother culture, even though it's like it's a Western country, but it's still just so different. And I did have a great time. I just didn't see myself being there for 4 years, and I had tough days, but I also had amazing days and saw beautiful places, and I made friends for the rest of my life. I think the best thing is just, I don't know what the best thing is. the food, man. The food is good. No, I miss the food. No, I think the best thing is
in a nut burger, huh?
Yeah, I know. I would kill for some animal fries. No, I think the best thing is just the college life in America, especially like I went to a big school. It was like 38,000 people, Division I in California. That is amazing. That whole experience of being in a place where sport is like one of the main things of the culture, and when everyone on campus is young and you're all kind of the same, and it's fun to kind of be known, like, hey Floris, how are you doing? And teachers are like, oh, how's your game? And that's fun as a young kid. It's an amazing experience, and you learn so much about yourself, about other people, and Yeah, I mean, even if it's just one year, just go. I mean, it's such an experience. You know, even though I left, I would do the same thing again. Just experience and just everything I got the people I got to know and stuff.
Did you get homesick? Well, was a part of your decision homesick, or was that something different in terms of, you know, as I said, this platform is for young guys and girls who are going over.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, I got really homesick. Let me get back, or being out of my comfort zone and heading back, or is that something completely different?
It's not necessarily being homesick, because I mean, of course, I was in Gran Canaria for 2 years before that, so I kind of got used to it. But like towards the home front, what was the toughest for me was the time difference, because even when I was in Spain, my day was the same as my parents' day or my sister's day or my friend's day. You know, it's like my 9 o'clock was your 9 o'clock, and you know, it's easier to reach each other. But when I was in California, the time difference was 9 hours, and like your lives are so apart then, because half of the day they're asleep, then half of the day you're asleep, and then you got class when it's their evening, so they have free time. And then when your evening, they're already sleeping. And I think that was the toughest, like the communication with people back home. Like you have to sacrifice your sleep sometimes. I would just wake up like at 2 o'clock in the morning to be able to Skype with my family and friends in the morning. And I think that was the toughest. I wasn't really homesick, but just the time difference is very tough.
Yeah, that's a question that we ask a lot, just in terms of how do you cope with that time difference.
Mm-hmm. It's also, I mean, most people know like a basketball team can get very like close together, and like, you know, almost a family. I mean, you know, in CBA, everyone's still close. And I think even though you're far from your family and stuff, you do really get like a close bond with your teammates and with the coaches, because you see each other every day, and you know, you battle for the same things. You go through the same tough things together. And a lot of people in the States are also away from their family. It's not like everyone goes to college right around the corner of their home, you know. So more guys. There were guys from Chicago, North Carolina, you name it. So they're also missing their family. So for me, it was never really an issue.
Last few. What advice would you give to the generation that's now being recruited? You know, anyone looking at schools, what kind of, thinking about your processes and decisions that you've made, what advice or information would you tell those young people?
Good question. That's because of my personal experience. I would really like go or favor a place that makes you feel like, hey, that's an environment I can enjoy myself in. And I know at one place the basketball will maybe be better, or another place, I don't know, the weather is nice, but just find a place where you feel like, hey, this can be your second home, you know, because 4 years is a long time, especially being away from your family. You're gonna have tough days regardless wherever you are, and I think just make sure you're in a place where you think like, yeah, I can see myself staying here, and also the school and the things to do, and just look at the things besides basketball, how important basketball is, because it is important. You know, you're going there for basketball, so make sure you're comfortable with that, but then definitely look at the other things as well.
Okay. What elements at Cal State do you think could have kept you there? What could have adjusted? You know, if you took, I don't know, you could have taken I guess a post-grad type of class. You could have been into a fraternity. You could have, you know, I mean, I think there's a couple of things to what you've said that you could have done to kind of give you that extra boost.
Yeah, I think mostly like what was in California, what was tough for me is because I'm from Amsterdam, so I'm used to like living around where a lot of stuff happens, you know, and there are things to do outside of your little bubble, so you can always go wherever. And what was tough for me in California was you needed a car to go everywhere, especially in that part in Orange County, and public transportation was really bad. And I was like, I can't just go off campus and do something. Like I could never just do something because it was really an activity to go out and do something. And I think that was tough for me because it was just like you were just kind of not stuck on campus, but yeah, it kind of felt like that sometimes. So I just wanted like more life, or I don't know, it was tough. Yeah, like a little bit more life, a little bit more things to do. Yeah, that mostly.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's perfect. And it's really interesting to hear, you know, your thought processes and the stuff that you came across, the kind of the battles that you had to fight internally. And
yeah,
you know, it's always, I guess, whenever you're doing anything, you kind of have to, you get to a point and you're like, as you said, am I a failure? The whole mental aspect of self-reflection and stuff. So I think that's great that you touched on that, and I'm really happy and pleased to see that, you know, you're doing well now, and and you know,
man.
You know, you've met back up with Gito. I mean, it wasn't going to be long before you guys hooked back up. So
for real. No, that's, I mean, I think that's one of the greatest things about basketball. It's always, when people ask me that, it was the friends and experiences you make through the game of basketball and the place you travel. It's unreal. I think that is honestly the best thing basketball has given me. Like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fame or the girls or the likes on Instagram or whatever, the points you score. It's the people that you meet. And I think that's because that's what you're going to take with you when you're 60 and 70. And I think, yeah, it sounds cliche, but that's the best thing. Whenever people ask me that, it's like, yeah, that is the best thing. You make friends for life and experience for life, and no one can take that away from you.
I love it. Just real quick before we leave, did you play anyone? You didn't play Gito, did you? In college?
No, I didn't play anyone from CBA. It was funny because the year after me, I think it was Menno, and like two other guys from CBA that ended up going to the same conference. But I did play like people I ended up playing with here in Holland. So that's funny. Like the world is, it's a small world. Like, hey, didn't I play you at college? And he was like, yeah, well, I think so. So that's funny. But I didn't play anyone of Gito or something like that. No.
Didn't I put you on a poster? Didn't I?
Yeah, didn't you dunk on me? Definitely not.
Like, dunked it, I got the scar now.
Oh man, it's good. Yeah, good times. Good times.
Flo, it has been amazing talking to you, my man.
Definitely.
Really appreciate it. We will definitely stay in touch.
My name is Flo. Thank you for watching Eurostepping. Coach D is amazing. Make sure to share it, like it, tell someone you love them, share with friends, and I'll catch you guys soon. See ya.
Appreciate you watching the Eurostepping.
I want to thank everybody for watching Eurostepping.
Watching the Eurostepping.
The Eurostepping.
The Eurostepping.
You've been watching the Eurostepping.
The Eurostepping.
Eurostepping.
You've been watching the Eurostepping, a great podcast show hosted by Coach D.